the era of the Roman Empire. It has the perfect recipe to make a good show and a good game. War, violence, brutal and cruel injustice, power, and deep political schemes. You can find it at any time during the Roman era, and when things align, you can get perfect results. Yet in video games, our perfect 10 is not a story with unjust circumstances, nor someone rising to power, neither Agrippa cutting down giants and armored midgets while becoming the true Vicus Dicus in Rome. Our 10 has to be Rome Total War. Who has played this game and doesn't feel any nostalgia? It was one of the best strategy games of its time, and while it didn't tell any story, it let you tell yours. And you can bet I enjoy beating the hell out of the Greeks in every playthrough. And if you ever got bored, you could always squeeze a couple more hours cheating people with the oliphones. And after many years, we can finally have another go at this era, this time in a story-driven tactical RPG that caught my attention and probably yours too, due to several reasons. First of all, it comes in a month with not many popular releases, so not much competition there, decent timing. And the game also gives you the promise of letting you make many important decisions that can shape and turn your gameplay. This is for me one of the most important aspects of an RPG. It is what made me love games like Mass Effect, Fallout New Vegas, Knights of the Old Republic, and many more. The more freedom, the more immersive it is, and the more it makes me want to log in after work. Give me a game that does this and respects your time, and I will play it until dawn. But is this game worth $44? Let's be real, it is quite pricey for a game that is not a AAA. It has to bring out of quality or innovation to the genre. But don't worry, because I took the dive for you and bought it, and I will tell you why it is not worth the $44. The game is good, don't get me wrong. I wasn't expecting a superb game, more a nice narrative with a solid, entertaining gameplay that would let me enjoy a nice story where I can have some say. And I actually love how the game pushed me to make constant, hard choices of unknown consequences, a lot of them pushing the moral boundaries. To give you some reference, if you haven't played it yet, the game could let you kill your enemy or take them prisoner, help people suffering from war, or take their supplies. It is your decision, you are free to do whatever you want, but it may come to bite you sooner than you think. And while it has decisions that can affect the plot dramatically, I didn't get the feeling of making the campaign ending and time pressure choices that keep you on your toes and that make XCOM legendary. I was not expecting it to be the same, but I expected something somewhat similar. And here is where I started to see some cracks in the matrix. I started to see the division from what the game tries to be, a very polished experience, which it is, in many cases, and the other side, the design decisions that don't fit the game well, and the loot experience, making it longer than it should be without making it more enjoyable. At the start, everything seems really fine. It's the honeymoon period, you begin your adventure and the plot advances really nicely. You start getting into the story of a young man escaping death and ascending the ranks of the military. And while advancing through the story, many things caught me by surprise. Like when I was walking randomly through scenarios and I realized that there were a huge amount of characters that had a different voice tone, with many different accents. Usually you expect huge walls of text with no voice acting whatsoever, so I was amazed by the amount of work put into this, and it is something that will not make you buy the game, but it will make your experience more pleasant. But as I continued my adventure, I found other things not so great. Eventually, after many skirmishes against my enemies, I had the chance to try one of the big battles. It was the time for my legion to do the dirty work and fight for me for once, after carrying them harder than any of my ranked games ever, doing every risky task that you can imagine. But did I expect the battles to be like they are? Not at all. In my first battle, I could barely make sense of what was happening. You had to face the enemies, drawing cards from a deck. However, it is hard to see how the battle will unfold using those tactics. Eventually, you can unlock more of them, getting better results, and you will start getting the hang of why some of them are better than others. But at the end, I just didn't find these mechanics, these battles, fun, complex or entertaining, which was a pretty big letdown. Although at the end of the day the game is about this story, but at the same time, this doesn't feel on par with the rest of the game, it doesn't feel as polished. While I was playing, some of the things that I appreciated the most were the art and the level design. The game is beautiful, it's a piece of art, from the water to a lighting, the color palette, the characters. Exploring each map was enjoyable, and when you enter a battle, the levels were designed in a thoughtful way. They were not random scenarios, they were designed with a purpose in mind and taking into account your level, the amount of enemies, where the enemies are placed, the ways in which you can approach the scenarios, and the best place to locate key elements to complete the mission, like a fire pit to burn the objective. This fire pit will be protected. It will be not too far away, nor too close. Maybe there is a heavily protected fire pit, but also a less protected one further away. Which one will you choose if you know that there is a time limit, or reinforcements come in every set of turns, making the battle more difficult? The game tries to force you into making these tactical decisions. Some battles are longer, so you will probably be able to find a box with bandages along the level. Some enemies may be carrying fire that spreads, so maybe there are some barrels with water close by. But usually accessing these resources is not as easy as just walking by. The battles feel like a puzzle with different solutions, and I love it. And it is true, not all the scenarios are as enjoyable. Not all of them are as easy to balance, and they are probably done by different people, bringing different levels of quality. But it's obvious that a lot of thought has gone into them, which is something that is not seen very often. And this is what I mean when I talk about a game that tries to bring a well-crafted experience. Yet not all the battles are made equal. You play most of them with your allies, but in order to pacify a region and unlock its resources after you conquer it, you have to play a bonus mission. And as the hardest working legatus ever, it is your turn again to do the dirty work. You are sent to different quests, but instead of bringing your A-team, you will have to bring one of your companions together with your retainers, which are NPCs that you recruit that are easily replaceable, that start with random skills and are usually lower level and with worse gear than your main companions. And I just did not understand the point of doing this. While I was playing the first part of the game and spreading my influence around Asia Minor, playing these quests felt like they were slowing the pace of the game, while I just wanted to keep the plot going. In part because there was not much of a purpose to them. I did not have any kind of attachment to my returners, neither to the purpose of those missions, since they were more generic instead and something that I wanted to get over with to continue the story. Probably some of you don't agree with my last point, but if I had to point out the things that drive me away from the game, it will be this one, and the second main reason, sadly and surprisingly, the Legion management. I really enjoy the combat and the story, but in comparison with the campaign and Legion management, it feels like they are at different levels. It doesn't mean that it's not fun, but it's not on par with the rest of the game. It is not at a level worth it of the high price they ask for. And with this, let's get on with the juicy part of this video. Why is it not worth $44? I think that the clear answer is that Expeditions Rome does not bring the quality that a game as expensive should bring. It nails the story, it nails the graphics, the ambience, the moral choices, and the combat is pretty fun, and I get it. They probably spend a lot of money making the game and they want to get it back, and actually, if you look at the Steam reviews, the game is owning it. Yet probably most of those players bought the game with the pre-release discount. And those reviews are so high because for that price, the game is pretty good. But let's have a look at the counterpoints. The combat is pretty solid, but it's not flawless, and it is not the selling point of the game, although it could fit a game of $44 if the rest of the game is good. But the selling point is clearly the story. However, I believe that all that revolves around conquering territory with your Legion and managing it is not even close to the rest of the game in terms of quality. At a price of $30 it makes more sense, the good parts of the game compensate the flaws, but for $44 I expect a lot more. This price is probably set by the publisher and not the studio, but let's have a look at the quality that other games bring and their release price tag. Battle Brothers, $20 at release, one of the top dogs in tacticals RPGs, incredible game. Banner Saga, a great story with tactical turn-based combat and moral decisions, 20. Okay, it is not fair to compare it to those games because the art, the voice acting and the level design, it is more complex in this game and they needed a lot more hands and money to make it. But other top dogs that are as hard and expensive to make, like XCOM 2, legendary game, released at $60. Wasteland 3, terribly famous too, $60, and then Divinity Original Sin 2 at $45. And while Divinity is not my favorite game, it clearly has the upper hand and it has the same price tag. Price quality, I consider this game to be the worst of the ones I mentioned. So my advice, if you haven't bought the game yet, is play the demo and wait for a sale. The demo is too short to give you an idea of the flaws that I mentioned, but you will see some of the good parts. And if you have played already, what's your opinion? Do you think it's worth the $44? What are the pros and the cons for you? Thank you for watching, check this video if you love RPGs and in this case tactical RPGs, and have a nice day.